The Constitutional Court has heard arguments on the Traditional and Khoi-San Leadership Act. The act has been criticized by some quarters for keeping in place apartheid boundaries. Earlier, Newzroom Afrika had an interview with Legal Resources Centre attorney on whether the act should be declared invalid. Meanwhile, CONTRALESA is of the view that the attorney's comments shouldn't be taken serious. For more on this topic, we are now joined by CONTRALESA leader Kgoshi Mathupa Mokoena. Kgoshi, a pleasure to have you on the program this evening. Now, the Constitutional Court heard this challenge to the Traditional and Khoi-San Leadership Act. Talk us through the aspects raised by attorney Wilmian Wilkom and the assertions that you also dispute here.
Thank you very much, leadership, for having me. You know, we listen and watch with disappointment and pain the comment by the attorney representing the Legal Resources Center. You can see clearly that she was never in a cultural setup. She has never been in any traditional area. You can see that she was told about things or she read about them. Unfortunately, there were so many inaccuracies about what she said. For example, she said that traditional leaders, they are servants of the state, not servants of the people. Now, where have you ever heard this? Unfortunately, many of our white compatriots, they are aware of the role that is played by traditional leaders. And it is so disappointing that a person of that caliber can go public and lie about traditional leaders. She also said we are not accountable to our own people. It is clear that she's theorizing because she's not aware that there are officials who are from time to time unannounced visiting offices of traditional leaders to see what they are doing, to scrutinize even our books and all that. She's not even aware that every time traditional leaders will hold what is commonly known as imbizo, traditional gatherings, where people will talk to their Kgoshi and even air views. In many instances, when we have those meetings, we invite our municipal councillors and at times even provincial governments to be part of those imbizo so that whatever that will be raised by our people is noted by those fears of government. Unfortunately, she came here and lied about us. Can you imagine? She even said this legislation is endorsing the old apartheid boundaries for traditional leaders. For heaven's sake, she didn't say a word about the boundaries of those white people who are owning a vast tract of land in our country. Those boundaries are still intact with the signs that says, if you enter here, you are trespassing. She's saying nothing about that. We're aware that because she can't say it because those are her forefathers. Now, the question is, before they came into the shores, who was running this country, my leader? Hence, we were taking strong exceptions to what she said about traditional leaders. She went further to say, traditional leaders, if they can't provide services to their people, why can't they be removed by the government? My word, as a lawyer, I understand that if she's practicing, of which I doubt, if she loses many cases in courts, is she also being removed? It was an insult to talk so bad about traditional leadership. Hence, we are so proud to this station, Newzroom Afrika. You are powerful because you didn't allow her to run with it, to say whatever she wants to say and conclude. Hence, we are responding to say all what she said was just hogwash. She don't even know what she's talking about, my leader.
So the point of this interview is also to get a right of reply from you. But I think it's important that we also dissect the actual act. And it's often been criticized by some for keeping in place these apartheid boundaries. As ConTRALESA, where do you actually stand on this argument?
Leadership, even those long years ago, we had many traditional leaders. Each traditional leader had his or her area where he or she is governing. It was not a free-for-all. Like now, we are having provinces. that indicates that each province will govern this particular province. It's not a free-for-all. Now, do you expect that where traditional leaders are governing, there must be no boundaries. There must just be a free-for-all. You don't even know where Kgoshi Mokoena rules, where Kgoshi Pilane rules, where Kgoshi the Khale rules. I mean, it's out of order. Those boundaries, we are not happy about those boundaries. If I can say, my leader, as traditional leaders, CONTRALESA in particular, we are not happy with some of the clauses in this legislation. Hence, we are also requesting Parliament to make some amendments to some of those. Among others, is that a traditional leader from now onwards in this legislation can just be removed through a court of law. They can give a default judgment against you, even though you are not even represented. If that judgment is against you, you are removed. We are saying this is an African. It's not our culture. Because if there is something against a Kgoshi, there are levels where the Kgoshi must account. If it is found that I have wronged my own inner royal family or the community, it's only then some measures can be put for me to be corrected. But hence, we have already written to the National House. The National House have written to the department, to Nkosi Zuma, that we are not happy with some of the clauses. I'm just citing few clauses, but there are many that we're not happy with, my leader.
So, in extension, the impact of customary and informal property rights has also taken center stage in recent years. What does ConTRALESA have to add on the matter?
Fortunately, yours truly, I participated in the legislation during CODESA. I was there. Myself, Nkosi Nkoyana, Nkosi Nechimbu Feme, his soul rest in peace, and Nkosi Kumalo, and so on, were there. In terms of some of the clauses, we pushed so hard that they be included in the interim constitution. Unfortunately, as you are aware, many political parties will caucus and come to a conclusion that this is what they want. And they as well were defeated because there are many Republicans in this country. Republicans who hate traditional leadership with passion. But thanks God then, we had our father, Comrade Madiba, who said, if you can't put anything that talks to traditional leadership, count me out in your government. It was only then people changed their minds and hearts to include some of the requirements that we want as traditional leaders. But indeed, yes, of course, there is no way I can speak here in Newzroom Afrika and pretend as if we are happy with all that's happening there. There are some of the things that are there in the Constitution, in some of our legislation, that we are not happy with, my leader.
Kgoshi Mathupa Mokoena there, rather, speaking to us. Of course, this as a group is challenging the traditional leaders and Khoi-San Act, wanting that the Constitutional Court to declare it invalid as well.